I think when we sat down, we really tried to consider our schedule, but we also tried to consider, okay, now, if I'm going to take Mrs. Murray's students, or you're taking Mr. Johnson's, when do you think would it be a good time for him, for me to take his children? We really tried to put ourselves in the other teacher's shoes and try to figure out what would work best for both of us, because they were being impacted as well.
Right.
Or their schedule changed too.
Because I often think that times, in no disrespect to you, Mr. Neptune, but I often think in times that when it comes from the administration down, there's not a lot of conscious thought to it. They see it, this is what works, it's black and white. Whereas I think you all as teachers, you took some, the personal side of it. How will the other teacher feel? Whereas more or less on the administrative side, we kind of look at how can we fit this into the day, and not really taking into personalities and trying to be kind to others, if you will, with the schedule.
Well, and we are required as teachers to spend so many minutes on certain subjects, and you just can't take a great big block of the morning for maybe a planning period, RM, and a specialist. You've got to find a spot that works for my class as well as Mrs. Boyles' class. I can't disrupt her schedule and make it impossible for her to get her reading in.
Right.
So
We were considerate. I really think we were.
and she and I have common planning, so I know her schedule. I know how many minutes she has in the morning and in the afternoon, because we have recess and we have lunch and we have specialists. There's a lot of time blocks that are already set in stone, and now you've got to work, outside of them. So it would have been more difficult for Mr. Neptune or the administrator to do a schedule and hand it to us, because he knows we're all going to get, this isn't going to work for me.
Exactly.
When am I going to teach reading? So the best way to do it was to give it to the teachers and say, make this work.
And I have to say, with the other fourth grade teacher, she was so willing. Sandy, whatever, if that's going to work, that'll be fine. And through the course of this year, we've had to tweak, not our time for RN, but we've had to tweak what it is that she's going to teach when she's covering for my class, when she's teaching my children. But we finally, I think, we have it all worked out. So there was a little learning curve there at the very beginning, but now it's very smooth.